Most places treat rain as an interruption, something you wait out, something that passes, something temporary. But there are regions of the world where rain isn't an event. It's the background condition. Places where moisture never fully leaves the air, where the ground never dries completely, and where life exists under constant saturation. Once you enter these places, the idea of good weather stops applying, where dryness doesn't exist. In parts of the Choco rainforest, rain is constant. Not dramatic storms, not seasonal downpours, just continuous presence. Here's the first shock. The air itself feels wet. Clothes never fully dry. Surfaces stay dark. Sound is softened by moisture. Rain doesn't fall onto the land here. It hangs inside it. The Choco stretches along Colombia's Pacific coast, where warm ocean air meets dense forest canopy. The collision creates perpetual precipitation that measures in meters, not millimeters. Rivers here don't have dry seasons. They have different degrees of fullness. Bridges are built knowing water will always be underneath. Trails expect mud as the default surface. Walking through these forests means accepting wetness as permanent. Your shoes squelch with every step. Your skin develops a constant sheen. The boundary between rain and humidity blurs until they feel like the same thing. Locals don't own umbrellas for protection. They own them for habit. The distinction becomes meaningless when you're never truly dry anyway, when the world record is normal life. In northeast India sits Mawsynram. This region receives more rain than almost anywhere else on Earth. Here's what feels wrong. No one treats it as extreme. Roofs are designed to drip constantly. Paths expect water. Movement slows naturally. Rain isn't prepared for, it's assumed. The land never promises dryness, and no one waits for it. Mawsynram receives approximately 11,871 millimeters of rain annually, nearly 40 feet of water falling from the sky each year. Yet the villages here don't function like disaster zones. They function like places where this amount of rainfall is simply Tuesday. Women weave special waterproof shields from bamboo and banana leaves, called nups, that cover their entire bodies. These aren't emergency gear. They're everyday clothing. Children play in downpours without pause. Markets operate under constant drizzle. Conversations happen with rain as ambient noise, not as something worth commenting on. The shock isn't the quantity of rain. It's how thoroughly normal life has absorbed it. There's no waiting for better weather because better weather doesn't exist here. There's only now, and now is wet, and that's fine. And then the rain turns vertical, where the forest drips from above. In places like the Amazon rainforest, rainfall doesn't just come from clouds. It comes from the forest itself. Here's the shock. Even when it isn't raining, water falls. Leaves release moisture. Condensation forms constantly. Drips continue without clouds. The jungle creates its own rain cycle. The sky isn't the only source anymore. The Amazon's canopy holds millions of gallons of water at any given moment. Trees transpire moisture through their leaves, a process so massive it generates its own weather patterns. Scientists estimate the Amazon releases roughly 20 billion tons of water into the atmosphere daily. That moisture condenses, falls, gets absorbed, and rises again in an endless internal loop. Stand beneath the canopy during dry periods and you'll still get wet. Drops fall from leaves touched by nothing but humidity. Vines drip without cause. The air feels thick enough to chew. This isn't rain in the traditional sense. It's the forest sweating. The ecosystem doesn't depend on external weather systems. It manufactures its own. Remove the trees and the rain changes. The forest doesn't just live in a wet environment. It creates one. If you're interested in places where the environment controls everything and human systems quietly adapt, subscribe. This channel explores destinations where the rules change completely, where islands never dry out. Off the coast of Japan, Yakushima stays wet year-round. Here's what surprises visitors. Rainforest covers nearly the entire island. Fog rolls through daily. Moss coats everything. Rock surfaces feel alive. Nothing here looks polished. Everything looks softened. Time doesn't erase marks here. Moisture preserves them. Yakushima receives rain more than 300 days per year. The island's mountainous terrain catches clouds moving across the ocean, wringing them dry before they can pass. Ancient cedar trees, some over 7,000 years old, thrive in the constant dampness. Their bark grows thick and resinous, adapted to shed water while retaining just enough moisture to survive. Visitors often describe Yakushima as dreamlike, but it's not the surreal kind of dream. It's the heavy, humid, half-awake kind where everything moves slowly and boundaries blur. The fog that rolls in daily doesn't lift, it just shifts density. Visibility changes by the hour, sometimes by the minute. Landmarks disappear and reappear. Distances become unreliable. The island teaches you to navigate by feel, not by sight. When structures are built for rot. In constantly wet environments, permanence changes meaning. In rain-heavy regions like Borneo rainforest, structures aren't built to last forever. Here's the quiet shock. Decay is expected. Materials are chosen knowing they'll be replaced. Maintenance never ends. Stillness isn't valued. Life here doesn't resist the environment. It accepts replacement as normal. Traditional longhouses in Borneo are constructed from materials that will inevitably rot. Bamboo, wood, palm leaves. All organic, all temporary. Builders don't fight this. They plan for it. Roofs are replaced every few years. Support beams are checked and swapped out. The structure remains, but the materials cycle through. The same logic applies to personal belongings. Metal rusts, leather mildews, paper disintegrates, electronics fail. People who live in perpetually wet environments develop different relationships with possessions. Things are borrowed, shared, replaced. Attachment to objects weakens when objects don't last. The culture shifts toward valuing what moisture can't destroy: relationships, knowledge, skills, community ties, where the land absorbs sound. In the world's wettest regions, silence feels different. Rain absorbs movement. Fog compresses distance. Voices don't travel far. Here's what visitors notice. The environment feels enclosed, even without walls. Visibility stays short. Sound stays close. Orientation depends on familiarity, not markers. Rain doesn't just change surfaces, it changes perception. Acoustic physics shift in saturated environments. Water droplets and fog particles scatter sound waves, dampening their travel. Conversations happen at closer range. Shouts don't echo, they get absorbed into the surrounding moisture. Even waterfalls, which should be deafening, produce muted roars because the air itself cushions the sound. This creates a strange intimacy with space. Large clearings feel smaller. Open trails feel enclosed. The world compresses around you. You hear your own breathing, your own footsteps, your own heartbeat more clearly than you hear anything distant. It's disorienting at first. Your spatial awareness relies partially on sound. And when sound doesn't travel normally, your sense of where things are becomes unreliable. Why people can live here at all. In these places, small communities do exist. Not as attractions, not as spectacles. They function because they align with the environment, not because they dominate it. Shelter prioritizes airflow. Movement respects weather. Schedules bend easily. The rain never stops, so resistance does. Living in perpetual rain requires abandoning the idea of controlling your environment. Homes are built on stilts to avoid standing water. Walls have gaps to let air circulate and prevent mold. Roofs are steeply pitched to shed water quickly. Nothing is sealed tight. Sealing tight means trapping moisture inside, which accelerates decay. Daily rhythms adapt too. Work happens during lighter rain, not during dry periods, because dry periods don't exist. Heavy rain and light rain replace rain and no rain as the meaningful distinction. Communities develop collective knowledge about microclimates, which valley gets the worst afternoon downpour, which ridge catches a brief reduction in intensity, which trails flood first. These places aren't defined by storms. They're defined by continuity. Air that never dries, ground that stays dark, forests that generate rain themselves, islands where moisture never leaves. They weren't shaped for comfort. They weren't shaped for control. They were shaped to remain wet. If this video changed how you think about rain-soaked destinations, subscribe.